I am a scare actor in a top-voted haunted house. Ask me anything. Hello. I am a first-year haunted house scare actor. A few months ago I saw a Facebook ad that a local haunted attraction was holding auditions for scare actors. I had no acting experience whatsoever, but the ad said none was required, so I said heck it and auditioned with a friend. I was extremely nervous, but we both ended up getting the job and here I am. I have to remain anonymous for employment reasons, but I will say that the haunt I work at is a very high-ranked haunt according to multiple sources, has been visited and positively reviewed by influential YouTubers and industry-based media groups, and speaking with bias, freaking awesome. We are currently in the height of the haunt season, the crowds are the biggest they've been and they'll be getting bigger the closer we get to Halloween. I love scaring the shit out of everyone and I'd say I'm pretty damn good at it, so, ask me anything.
Before we start, be sure to like and subscribe to be the first to know about new videos. Comment your answer below.
Have you ever been attacked by spooking someone too hard? They dedicated quite some time during training on how to avoid being attacked, what to do if you sense that a guest is going to hit you, and what to do if a guest hits you. They did warn us that guests do occasionally get inappropriately aggressive, for whatever reasons, drunk, unstable, think they're tough. In my experience so far I have only been hit twice in the face, which were both accidents due to the guests reacting with their hands being thrown up in the air. It hurt, but it was an accident, so I was more satisfied with the scare than I was bothered. A few times I have sensed guests, mostly bored-looking, tough-acting teenage boys, or frat boys with girlfriends that I scared, give me dirty looks and that try me stance, which with the actor training in mind, I would back off and retreat to my spot to avoid physical altercation. I think it's ridiculous that people actually hit scare actors, but testified by veteran actors, it does happen. I think it's ultimately idiots looking for an excuse to look tough in front of their friends/GFS. They're just trying to flex is all. I know this because a very long time ago I was this kid, that piece of shit kid. Hope you're enjoying the gig op. I'm really hard to scare, but I try not to be this tough guy. My mom loved horror movies and would always try to mess with me, and my brother did the same, so it's not my fault I don't jump or get scared at a haunted house. I'm mostly there to watch everyone else's reaction. I quit going though because Reddit made me feel like shit for not being scared when I read a thread similar to this a few years ago. Screw Reddit's opinion, man. If you enjoy going, who cares if you don't get scared? You are enjoying it vicariously. Thanks, man. It is fun to watch people get scared and jump, but not if I'm going to be judged around every corner for being a tough guy. People look at me weird enough as is. I'm the same, I don't get scared easily. If I know that is someone's objective, not at all. Same with haunted houses. One of the best I went to used projectors and physical props that messed with my spatial orientation and sense of safety, and was one of the few times someone almost got me to scream. I'll startle, with an audible ha. But getting me to uvula scream is unknown. I just don't. But I love my friends' reactions and laugh and enjoy that. What are the most stereotypical types of people/responses you get from your scares? This is such a thing. White people, white moms will give out a genuine lil shriek and throw their hands up in the air. White teenage girls will scream like you just murdered their entire family in front of them, or they'll roll their eyes in your face. White teenage boys will either tell you to do something or scream a swear word. Black people, scream. Scream, scream, swear, scream, laugh, fall to the floor, run. These people know how to have fun in a hunt. Gay people, similar to black people, will just have a fun overall time. Lots of flamboyant screaming and waving arms, and no no. Drunks, you see a drunk coming up, you pop out, and they either stumble into you, a prop, or a wall. Annoying and not fun. Spanish people, they laugh hysterically. What would you most like to tell us that no one ever asks about? That I tailor my efforts stereotypically, but I'm almost always right. To clarify, why would I use up all of my energy on some uninterested guy in his 40s with his hands in his pockets when I can save it for the next group of screaming teenage girls? Screams are satisfying, so, if you really want a scary experience, walk through a haunt like you're scared shitless and scream at every little noise and the actors will tear you up, or at least appear engaged and interested. There's nothing more annoying than wasting a good scare on someone that's just going to blink in your face. I've noticed this a lot. I'm not an actor, but I go to Halloween Horror Nights in Universal a few times a year, and the majority of people who get scared are the people either being genuinely terrified or acting like it. I went with one group who didn't act super scared and I was somewhat disappointed because they didn't come at us often, but I went recently with others who were genuinely scared for their lives and it was a completely different experience. What was the funniest thing you've experienced so far? There's a lot. Most people would probably find all the times I made grown adults drop to the floor and cry the funniest, but personally I found a small comment from a mother of a young child the funniest so far. Her child was visibly terrified and crying, and all she said was, "It's make-believe. It's not real." I had to go back to my hidey hole to break character and laugh. It really struck me funny because I remember as a young child first starting to go through haunted houses, that's exactly what my mom would tell me to help me not be scared. And here I am, doing the same thing to young children whose parents forced them through my terrifying little playground. You doing the Lord's work? Ever felt bad about scaring somebody? Yes. I think this is something that not a lot of people think about. Most of the time after a good scare the guests laugh, but sometimes they'll give me a look that almost says, "Why did you do that?" And it's hard to not want to apologize. I'm sure everyone has fun regardless, but there's a certain look that guests sometimes give me that makes me feel a little bad. Think puppy eyes, but frightened, vulnerable puppy eyes. But I don't feel bad for making kids cry. That cracked me up. Thanks for the answer, lol. I've always wondered about that. What parts of your job you hate and what you love? Hate, it gets hot. I sweat a lot. I smell. People insult me. Love, everything above I mentioned. It's a workout. I feel healthier. It's exercising made fun. Scaring people. Seeing them scream. Hearing them tell me you got me good. Hearing the comments that guy needs a raise. Getting in character and staying in character. Being that character. It's stress relieving, it makes me feel like a kid again playing dress up and pretend. Going from my day job of customer service and smiling all day to my night job of telling people I want to rip their bones out one by one. Have you ever been the one that got scared? Lamau, yes. Actually, this one guy broke off from his group while I was scaring them and went into my hidey hole. When I finished scaring them and went to go back to my spot, he jumped out at me. He got me good. I jumped and laughed and broke character for a second. Can you give some insight on the backstage works of working in a haunted house? Like getting into costume, clocking in and out, secret doors, etc. Yeah. So basically you clock in whatever time you get there. There's no strict schedule as long as you're there early enough to get into costume and makeup before showtime. So you clock in, and you see your assigned position for the night. Most nights you have the same position, but sometimes due to callouts or whatever they might change you up. So once you know your role, you go to costuming and they give you your costume, you get dressed in the locker room, then you go get your makeup done. While the actors are getting ready, management is going through the haunt making sure everything is in place, checking for safety hazards, checking equipment, etc. etc. Once everyone is in costume and makeup, we all go to our rooms, the lights turn off, and we get one last walkthrough by management to make sure everything is okay. Management is hooked up to radio so they communicate to security and ticketing staff. Once everything is ready, we open our doors to the victims. Throughout the night they will periodically halt the flow of guests to give management a chance to walk through and check up on everything. Us actors are not hooked up to radio, so it's hard to communicate with management while performing. You'd have to leave your room to go get a manager, so management tries to check up on us as often as they can. Sometimes they even walk through with groups. As for secret doors, almost every room is connected to backstage hallways where actors hide and pop out from. There's drop windows, secret doors, and emergency exits all connected to these hallways. It's why if you've ever been to a haunted house, you might notice that actors appear to move faster around the haunt than you do. It's because of these backstage hallways. I'm imagining the manager walking through, following a group of people, and a mummy staggers up behind her and moans creepily, "Can I have a bathroom break?" Haha, we actually communicate in character sometimes. If we have to talk and there's guests in the room, we'll talk in character. This is actually a thing. That's just amazing. I'd love to see that happen. Have you had a situation come up where you had to break character in front of the guests? Yes, I've accidentally hit guests a few times, some just gently and a few instances where I hit hard enough to injure. I broke character immediately upon contact to ensure they are okay. I haven't hurt anyone too seriously and everyone was perfectly fine and continued through the haunts with smiles. What's your favorite technique for scaring the poop out of someone? We're trained to know how to execute the many different types of scares. To name a few, there are presence, intimidation, pop out, emotional, why did they do this to me? Psychological, gross them out, threatening, make them think something is going to happen to them. And these different techniques can be combined and worked into each other to create even better scares. My favorite for easy scares is popping out. That gets almost everyone every time, and there's little effort involved. But after my pop outs I really like following them, or leading them to the next room working in my creepy lines and threats. I also like using props like metal bats or shovels against the sets. Certain sets you can hit with props. It's hard not to get scared when someone is slamming a metal bat against a chain link fence separating them from you. Have you ever scared yourself? Like been surprised by your actions or let yourself get too into a role? This is a really interesting question. No. I feel like I'm finding myself. Every day I'm finding more ways to express myself and my creativity, I'm more confident, and I have made connections to the way I act in the haunt to the way I act in real life. Afraid of a social situation like a presentation? Act it out.
You have been visited by Sad Cat. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to make Sad Cat happy again.